Welcome back to another episode of the MacRumors Show. Today we have a very special guest. We have TikTok superstar, but also in our hearts, he is. I mean, do we call you? I guess we're going to call you because you became famous on TikTok. So now you're former MacRumors colleague, Frank McShan. Welcome, Frank. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm so happy to be here.
This is like the second time we've ever spoken like face to face, kind of face to face.
I think so.
Obviously we have our work channels, but like I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand with MacRumors is that literally everyone lives in a different place. So primarily all of our communication is done via text, and then when we meet somebody in person, it's like, hey, I've known you forever, but not really.
Right, it's crazy. Like we're all like on different sides of the world, yet we're still kind of working together. It's awesome.
Are you ready to talk some Apple news here?
I am. I'm excited.
Well, before we do that, how's everything going with like you blew up with making just Apple TikToks and just tech in general? Like, how is it going? Like, how are you enjoying being a creator in the TikTok world?
It is fantastic. So I got started right around late 2019, and that was right around when I started around at MacRumors as well. And I never really thought anything would kind of happen. I was just kind of making tech videos. I was making, like iPhone hacks, like little videos like that. And when iOS 14 came out, I kind of just made like a little tutorial. And before I knew it, like one day that video had 30 million views. It was insane.
Jeez.
And from there, I just kind of kept going with like 1 to 3 videos per week, doing like some general tech videos, some iPhone hacks, anything that I kind of find to be interesting in the tech space. I've kind of incorporated into some of my videos. And I just graduated college in December. So now I'm doing content creation full time. So I'm so excited to kind of
congratulations.
Have more time. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited to have more time to kind of do this, without having like a bunch of other things going on at the same time. So now I can kind of just focus on content creation. So it's awesome.
Well, now we're going to jump from going to 30-second videos to an hour-long podcast. So I hope you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, guess what, guys? Big news. Apple Music Classical was finally announced. I mean, I don't know if they really announced it as much as they just put it on the App Store.
The App Store.
Yeah. Hartley, you want to dive in with that?
Yes, so it was all a little bit unexpected, really, wasn't
Right?
it? So it just appeared out of nowhere. There wasn't even a newsroom press release. There was nothing about it, really. And I guess that means we're not getting a spring event because we would have maybe got the new color options, the new accessories, and Apple Classical all at some sort of spring event, maybe the Mac Pro. And that's pretty much not going to happen now. So yeah, Apple Classical, it's this new experience for classical music specifically. And it's a little bit strange because I can't quite get my head around whether I like the idea of this or not. I understand its purpose. A lot of people say, "Oh, what do you need a separate app for? It's just classical music. It's all music." But I do get the need for a little bit of a better way to sift through that metadata. But there are some serious limitations here. So there's no iPad app, and yet there will be an Android app, which is strange. There's no Mac app either. And some of it just feels a little bit odd. Like there's no colorful background to the Now Playing view that you normally get with album artwork. So I think some people will really love this, but it sort of still feels a little bit half-baked to me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So for me, I found this announcement to be interesting just because like we've been hearing rumors about it for quite literally years. And just to kind of have I do kind of like the idea of the separate app just because I think when you're looking for classical music, the experience is just different than, like your traditional music that you would have on Apple Music. So I do like that Apple kind of took the approach of launching the separate app. I'm excited to see kind of how the launch and how it kind of like performs on the App Store as well, if people are using it and stuff like that. So that'll be something we'll have to pay attention to later this month.
I feel like
And maybe
it's
that,
just a classier version of Apple Music, right? There's no fancy color backgrounds because you're
Right.
listening to classical music. It needs to be relaxed and calm and just, you know, more classy. I don't know. It does look to me just like at first glance like a stripped down version of just Apple Music, like very
it's like
basic.
Apple Books meets
Yeah, yeah.
Apple Music. That's
I,
the aesthetic,
Exactly.
basically.
I kind of like it. I'm just looking at the screenshots. Like it, I kind of like the way it looks. I like these little graphical renders of Beethoven and stuff. Like that's pretty cool. They got us some pictures, some portraits.
Yeah, and they're custom made as well. Apple's
Yeah,
commissioned these of artists, and they're going to continue doing that. And there's
that's
going to be a
awesome.
lot of exclusive recordings. You know, Apple Music always does this really well with spatial audio recordings, and this experience basically means Apple is taking the classical music space, which other companies like Spotify, while they're building sort of perhaps slightly controversial new features into their app, uh, Apple really going to just take over a genre basically for a very large number of people for the time being.
What controversial features are you talking about?
Well, podcasts being put so front
Oh,
and center,
okay.
and the redesign that
Audiobooks.
they announced this week, right?
Oh, did I miss that? It has been. I have not paid attention to anything outside of Apple related stuff.
Have you heard about this, Frank? The redesign?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I
Well,
feel like
are
I'm.
you making this up, Hartley? Oh
No,
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's
like I don't recall this.
yeah.
no. Well, I hope I'm not making it up.
No, you're
So
not. Oh no.
it's it's like TikTok, but
Yeah.
in Spotify, which is also kind of like Instagram as well. And so it will just show you content on the homepage,
Oh
which
no.
obviously some people don't mind. So it's good for discovery. I get that. Spotify is great for discovery, but other people are thinking, why do I want social media when I just want to dive into some music? So it seems to be a little bit of a controversial move.
Well, I guess that actually could be kind of cool. I'm looking at pictures now, and like it does look like TikTok. Um, and I guess if it was like aggregating like stories and TikToks and things from your favorite artists that you follow, I guess that could be kind of cool. Because then you don't need to go to separate apps to see like stories of bands like warming up before a show, like live stuff. Like that actually might be kind of interesting. I just don't know if I want that because like according to this little picture, it looks like it's the main home screen like thing. Like when I open up the app, I don't want that to be the first thing I see. I want to see my library first. Hey guys, just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you that this episode of the MacRumors Show is sponsored by Betterhelp. You know, getting to know yourself, like truly getting to know who you are as a person on the inside, can really be a lifelong process, especially since we are all hopefully growing and changing as people over time. I'm personally a huge fan of what therapy can do for us, and sometimes just talking things out with other people can really help us get to know ourselves better on the inside and help figure out what it is that we might want. And if you're considering therapy, I'd highly recommend giving BetterHelp a try. It's incredibly convenient since it's done entirely online, and it's also affordable. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and then if you want to, you can always switch therapists anytime you want at no additional charge. Again, I'm a pretty big fan of therapy and the benefits that it can bring to you in the long run. I feel like everyone just needs that objective person to talk to and really get those feelings out to someone who's actually a trained professional and can definitely give you the right advice that one might need. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/macrumors today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/macrumors. Also in the news is something that I am 100% excited for. It's something that I'm hoping will come sooner than later. And according to Ming-Chi Kuo, everyone's favorite Apple analyst, or at least one of my favorite Apple analysts, he has just recently said that Apple is set to launch a redesigned HomePod with a 7-inch display. And I use a lot of my like smart home assistant, like I use Google Assistant, and I love the ones with the displays because there's just so much more functionality behind it. Whether it's like putting on music and being able to see the artwork, or watching YouTube videos with the kids and just kind of have it playing, seeing a recipe, visually seeing it rather than listening to it. So it'd be really cool to have Apple kind of jump into that space. And also, you know, I use FaceTime, so like another FaceTime device that's kind of handy. Hartley, what are your thoughts on this? Would you buy a display to use as your HomePod kind of all in one device.
Yeah, definitely. I would be really interested in this. I feel like this is what the HomePod's needed for years, even if it's just to see what track is playing and how far
Right.
through you are in a track, or smart home accessories. If it just shows me maybe the accessories that are in the room that the HomePod's in, and I can just tap the top of the display as I walk by, or maybe
Hmm.
shortcuts. Um, I think it makes perfect sense, but it's tying into this bigger smart home strategy. Obviously, Apple is now still interested in the HomePod, but 7 inches is quite small, so I can't imagine really making a FaceTime call on that. It's still pretty little when you think that probably will be a bit further away from you than an iPhone would be. Um, it's not going to be quite like a Google Home. I don't know. What do you think, Frank?
So yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. I've had the Amazon Echo Show since it released, and that was like one of the first kind of smart home products that I ever purchased. And I really do like the display because I think the integration with Apple Music is going to be huge for this HomePod. Just because if you were playing music, you'd want to see, like you'd mentioned, just kind of seeing what song is playing, seeing where you are in the track. Even having the integration with Apple Music real time lyrics would be something that I think would be really cool to have. Um, Even maybe with the Apple Music Sing feature that just launched recently too, and taking advantage of a lot of those new features, I think is going to be critical in just kind of seeing how the HomePod kind of is able to um, transform into this singular audio device into kind of a device that has a display and that you can interact with more, and it's a little bit more personal.
And this will have
Well,
to be engineered to be something slightly different because it's not going to run iOS. So it's going to have to run some sort of new home OS. I mean, the HomePod currently runs tvOS, which makes more sense in a HomePod context with that very sort of minimal experience. So I can see it being a modified version of tvOS. It's just really a question of how much it can do. I think real-time lyrics are a great example of something it could do. Um, Even just, I would love it if it would take on the colors of album art on on
yeah.
the
Oh,
on the on the
exactly.
HomePod. That would be great. Give you more of a feel of the song visually.
Do you think this is a substitution to some of the rumored things we heard? Like where, how Google announced that like kind of hub thing where you can have the tablet and then dock it. I know Apple was also kind of reportedly going to do something similar to that with like an iPad kind of speaker stand HomePod kind of combo. Do you think this is like another product that would be in that lineup or a direct substitution for that or what?
I think it will be another product in the HomePod lineup. Although
Okay.
it's interesting that Kuo said it was a redesigned HomePod, which I don't know if that was intentional wording, but he wasn't describing it as a new HomePod, another HomePod. It was a
Oh, like
redesigned
like there's
HomePod.
no more original cylinder
Yeah.
Right.
HomePod. It's just okay.
So that was interesting, and I don't know
Yeah.
whether that was intentional, but if so, then maybe this is the first sort of real expansion of the lineup. But to me, it would make sense that fast forward 2 or 3 years, we've got a little dock for your pad, we've got a separate larger display, we've got the Apple TV combined with the HomePod sort of sound bar, and then we've got the little HomePod, or what will be a smaller HomePod by then with a 7-inch display, and then the HomePod Mini. But I think it's got to be a whole lineup. If you're doing a home OS, if you're doing a selection of these products, you can't just stop there. So I think this is maybe just the start, really.
I would agree. I think that this all the HomePod news we've kind of been getting recently, I think Apple is sort of building towards a home sort of like we have the Mac, we have the iPad, we have our iPhone. Like I think they're really going to be pushing home and TV within the next few years. Um, I think the HomePod Mini was a really good product just because of the sense of like how small and portable it is, and also the price point. Like we haven't the previous HomePod was 349 when it first launched, so just to have a HomePod that is cheaper is a great option for most consumers. So I also am kind of curious as to how Apple would price this thing, in 2024 whenever it does launch. I don't know, kind of like I don't know if it'd be like 500, 600, something like that, but I have no idea. But with something with the display, it's going to be pretty expensive, I can imagine.
that's the other thing. Like, I'm gonna look up what does a Nest Hub go for. It goes for $99, and that is a 7-inch display. And you said that that was kind of small, but honestly, I think that's a really good size for somewhere like the kitchen, mostly like your nightstand. Like that's where I have one of mine. We do have one in the kitchen, but we also have a Nest Hub Max, and that one goes for $229. So, I mean, is Apple trying to be competitive, or is Apple just going to do what it normally does, where they don't care and price themselves out because they know people will still buy it in general? I'm guessing it's going to be the latter, but
But it's different with home products. That's what I can't work out, because if they price it too high, this is not a product that people run out to buy. It's not like an iPhone. They could charge $2,000 for the next iPhone and people will
don't
still buy it.
don't tell them that. Don't say that.
Even with the iPad Pros, we heard some news this week that the next generation iPad Pros could be more expensive than a MacBook Pro. I can believe that with the OLED displays. But with a home pod with a screen, if it just lets you maybe watch Apple TV, do some FaceTimes, listen to Apple Music, is that enough to command a price of $600? I can't. I have a hard time believing they'll charge less than that. But how many people are going to be interested at that price point, considering it is ultimately for the home? It's not as personal. It's not something you carry around with you like a MacBook, or you don't get work done on it. It's not going to be even like an iPad Pro in terms of the amount of work you get done on it. So, and if it's not really, it's not going to offer you a better experience for listening to music than a stereo pair of existing HomePods, I'm guessing. So price will be really interesting, I think.
I guess only time will tell. I mean, I feel like they're going to do what they've been doing and just price themselves out and make it to where not a lot of people go out and buy them. But we do have a main topic to get to, and that is mostly revisiting the iPhone 14, which huge news, guys. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you were up early this morning and were able to pre-order the brand new iPhone 14 in yellow. Did you guys get one? I was actually looking at my phone thinking I forgot to do that. Should I do that? Should we take a look at the iPhone 14 in yellow? You guys aren't
I think
super happy about this, are you?
Well, it's just I think I've seen more news, had to write more about yellow iPhones this week than I think I ever thought was possible.
I mean, we're going to make a whole episode out of it. Let's go.
Yeah.
The next 40 minutes all on the yellow iPhone. No, I think what we need to really get into, and Frank, you're going to lead us off, is
Sure.
what are your thoughts on the new yellow iPhone? Yes, but like, do we need more color options? Like, why was this not on the Pro? Why does the Pro get neglected sometimes? Take it away.
We should also say that Frank is the only one of us that has actually seen the yellow iPhone.
Well, yeah, that too. You also have it. That's why you're starting us off.
We can really only trust what Frank has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a few thoughts about the yellow iPhone 14. So we know that Apple does the mid-cycle iPhone refreshes every year. This year we got the new yellow color. Last year we got green, and then the previous year we got purple. I prefer like having the yellow. I will say is a fantastic yellow. I walked in when I saw it for the first time. I was extremely excited. I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. But I do wish like they had brought the color to, I can see like why they didn't do it this year for the Pro models, just because I can see that maybe a yellow Pro model would have looked similar to the gold. But I do think that having sort of a Pro model that we can, because I know people go crazy about colors every year. It's like one of the biggest things that I hear people talk about all the time. Like what is going to be like the new color this year? Like last year was the deep purple. I really do want a product red Pro model on the iPhone. I think I've seen that on Twitter a lot. A lot of people have been agreeing and like saying it too. It's something that I think would look really, really, really nice on the Pro models, just with the matte glass on the back. But for the yellow iPhone 14, it's kind of keeping that saturated color combo. If I'm trying to describe it, they launched a canary yellow case as well that kind of goes hand in hand with it. I would say that it's like we have the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Plus. It's kind of a because we've had yellow in the iPhone 11, the iPhone 10R, and now the iPhone 14. Um, I do really like the color of the iPhone 14. It's more like the iPhone 10R colors, I think, were some of my favorites just because of how kind of bright they were and fun. But I do really like this new color. It's something that I think was a good choice just because, it's we're like in the dead of winter right now, getting closer to spring. I think it's a nice kind of upbeat color. It's giving me summer vibes. I think it's a really good color choice, but like I said, I do kind of wish that there was a pro option available as well.
I think that the reason why there wasn't a pro model, just my theory, is that I think it was more of a manufacturing issue than the fact that they didn't want to offer it or that it would be too close to gold. Because they have basically perfected the process of anodizing aluminium to get these really nice saturated colors now. They've got that perfect. But we know that they struggle with the stainless steel. It's a much harder material. And
Right.
even when they wanted to do the gold stainless steel, I mean, there was originally going to be a gold iPhone 10, but they had to delay it because they just could not get it right with the stainless steel. So I'm guessing that yellow, which is a hard color to make saturated and bright and look really nice, they just could
Right.
not get it on the stainless steel. And if the sides were a bit faded, but the back was really bright, um, it would have ended up being a bit faded or at least looking a little bit more toward the gold, I think. So that would maybe be the reason. But I agree, it's a shame because it was really nice. Like last year with green and alpine green, they complemented each other really well. And I think, let's face
Exactly.
it, with the
Yeah.
iPhone 14 lineup, there is more interest in the Pro models. So it really kind of should have been on the Pros, or maybe give us a different color with the Pros. It's okay to do different colors, I think.
What color would you like to see on a pro model?
Well, I'm with you on this, Dan, and I would say orange.
Yes.
But I
Okay, that's
accept.
another one that I've wanted.
Yes.
Yeah,
But like yeah,
I
but
think
you're
that's
right.
the same
Orange.
issue, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well that's fine. Like it's going to look more like a copper, like a burnt darker orange because they have to. You're right. It's not going to shine, and that's fine. It doesn't need to. Those renders, well, you didn't bring them up specifically, but you mentioned about the dark red or the product red, and those ended up
Yeah.
looking more dark red. Which, by the way, I thought there was like a, and I could be making this up, but I was always under the impression that product red had a very specific like type of red that it needed to be in order to be considered product red. But I've seen so many different versions that I guess that's just not true. But I kind of
Yeah, I don't
assumed
think it's an
dark red
exact
would
hex
never
code.
happen. Not like a hex code,
I
but
think it's
go ahead.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it. I don't. I've never seen a dark red for product red,
No, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
and
Right. It's always been kind
and
of a
also
brighter
Apple
red.
also gives up a little cut of the money for everything it sells that is product
Hmm.
red to charity. So that's why some devices that Apple has done over the years that have been red. So things like the red iMac, they call it pink. It's not pink. It's red. That does not come under the product red category. And I'm guessing we do hear rumors about there being a product red or a red iPhone 15 Pro. That would be this year's sort of special new color.
Yeah.
If so, I'm guessing that is not going to be product red because Apple doesn't want to give a little cut to charity
That's
of
sad.
its
No.
best-selling device.
That's the
I'm
one it
assuming that
should
is going to be the reason.
that's the one it should be doing. You should be making your most
No,
popular
I know.
product.
I know.
Wow.
Everyone will still
I
say it's
think
product red. Like we've got used to calling it that.
Yeah.
right. I think whatever happens though, whatever kind of pro color that we get, I think it's gonna be whatever Apple does, I think they'll kill it like every time, every year, like we with the Sierra Blue or this year's Deep Purple. I've loved the special color. I know some people are kind of like about it, but I feel like Apple kills it every year with that special color on the Pro model, and that's usually the phone I go with every year.
I did
Even the
not.
purple? Were you a
I
big
did,
fan of the purple?
uh,
I have the Deep Purple, yeah. I love it.
Because that was controversial. I felt like that was unexpectedly like people were a little bit not sure about that. People said it looked a little bit grey, and I think I don't know. People were maybe perhaps a little bit spoilt with Sierra Blue because Sierra Blue was very nice, a little bit more
don't like it.
universally appealing.
I don't like it.
Why? Why? Tell us why, Dan.
I don't know. Well, I just don't think it looks. I just didn't like the way it looked on the Pro models. I would have rather have had like midnight, like a darker blue.
But I suppose they've got to do something different every year because they've done what I can't. What is it? Pacific blue, Sierra blue. That's two blues. We've had enough
No,
blues
and
now.
that's the thing. That's probably why I didn't like whatever one was the second one. Was that Pacific blue or Sierra?
Yeah,
Sierra blue.
the Sierra Blue
Sierra.
was second. Yeah.
Right, and I think that's why I thought they were so close, in my opinion, that like I was bored of it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna get this one again. I don't think it doesn't look any different really to me. Maybe a little bit, but like that's not enough. We need an orange. I'd be cool with that dark red. That dark red looked good because it's mostly the matte. I think everybody's sick of high gloss. We need some matte colors that look good.
No, I agree. I think
Really,
like that red or copper orange,
Yeah.
those two colors I think would be perfect on the next Pro model.
What do you
well, green is
realistically think
something
it's
we've
going to
been
be,
missing.
Hartley?
This year, what do I think it's going to?
Yeah, the Pro.
Yeah, it's going to be the red. Yeah,
You think it's
that's what the rumors are saying. So I think this is the
well?
year for red. I mean, we had midnight green, we've had two shades of blue, and we've had purple. So I think I can believe that it's time for red. They are exhausting the other sort of premium look color options that they can do that are a little bit darker, and do look different to the standard line of iPhones. You know, they're not meant to be really colorful. Even Sierra Blue, although it's a light color, um, it still somehow strikes a bit of a different tone to the colors that you get
I
on the
agree.
standard models, and that's intentional. You know, one is meant to be professional and a little bit sort of mean looking, and one is meant to be fun and more engaging, and it's supposed to reflect that. Because of course it's also going to play differently with the gloss back as well.
Exactly. And you know, one of the colors that I would also love to see on a future iPhone would be just sort of a total like matte black iPhone. Like I know one of my favorite colors that we've ever had on an iPhone was back the iPhone 7 jet black. If you guys remember that one.
Oh
That
yeah,
color was, I know it was like really fingerprinty and everything, but
yeah. It
you know,
was a
they
nightmare.
killed it with that color. It was awesome. You know, just having like a totally matte black iPhone.
You don't
So
think this one's
that's also,
close? I think
I
it's
mean,
close. That's why I like it.
I do. I just feel like if we had like a total like, I know it's like the space black is similar, but I don't know, just like
It's
that
because it's
jet
different
black color I
finishes.
really loved.
Yeah, it is the
Right, it's
finishes.
the
With the
finish
iPhone
too.
7, it's because the iPhone 7, with it being all aluminium, even the antenna bands and everything kind of ties into it directly, and even the camera bump was smaller.
Right,
So it looks so continuous
exactly.
across the edges of the device. It's why it looks so good. Whereas now you've got the shiny frame and the matte back, and then you've got the glossy glass that is on the sort of camera plateau. But I wonder if with the iPhone 15, if it does have a smaller camera bump, especially for the Pro Max model, and it's got these curved edges as well, if that will also maybe mean that a darker black will perhaps be able to seamlessly blend with the design a little bit better. At the moment, I don't think they can offer it when they're offering so many different finishes. It's a little bit like the
Right.
slates black
Oh, exactly.
iPhone 5, where they've got the different materials and the different finishes. So I think that also comes into it.
Do you think Apple needs to give us more choices across the board, like the MacBook Pro in space gray and silver? Like that's got to change, right? Or you think it's going to stay the same?
Honestly, honestly, the MacBook Pro offering doesn't like I it doesn't, the color of my laptop doesn't really matter to me a whole lot. Like I have like, I'll either alternate between space gray and silver. It's not really like as big of a deal for me as like when I pick the iPhone, because I know like that's gonna be with me for, I know I use my Mac every day as well, but it's, I feel like it's a little bit different when you, because the iPhone is what you're using like all the time, like the most, I feel like, you know. So I mean I think it would be cool to have, I did like the colors of the M2 MacBook Air. It would be cool though to have some kind of brighter colors reminiscent of the iPhone 14, and or kind of like the iMac as well. So I'm not sure how something like that would look, but
I think for me, it's not so much having more choice, but it's about having consistency. and I've ranted about
Oh,
this
really?
on this podcast
Are you
Yes,
going to
many a
talk about
time.
are you going to talk about consistency?
Yeah.
Go
So
on,
for
please
me,
tell us about Starlight, your favorite.
yes. So I think I have to say, compared to a year ago, it's better than it was because now you can get a MacBook Air in Starlight. You can get your iPad Air in Starlight, your
it
iPad
is.
Mini.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's there is a little bit more consistency, but I think what bothers me is that there is still a lot of disarray across the product lineups in terms of what is offered and with those shades themselves. So if you get space gray on one device, it is not the same sort of space gray as on another. The Midnight HomePod does not look anywhere near as blue as the Midnight MacBook Air, say. And that does bother me. And I know that people say, oh, well, they split them across pro products and non-pro products. And if you want a pro product, then you get the classic colors. You get your silver, your gold, and whatever variant of black or gray they're doing this year. And then if you get a more entry level or standard product, then you don't necessarily get those. Except it's not true because sometimes you do. You do get space gray now on the MacBook Air. You do get silver as well as Starlight and Midnight. But then something like the iMac, not available in space gray, but is
Right.
available in silver, which is supposed to be apparently now your premium color option. The iPad mini you can't get in silver. But what if I'm a pro user that likes the iPad mini? Why do I have to have mismatching colors? So this is effectively like the core of my problem. Am I making any more sense than I have done when I've ranted about this before?
No, I mean, it makes sense. I just don't think Apple cares. So that's just what you're going to have to deal with.
No, I know. You can rectify it with cases, though, to be fair, because there is better consistency with a lot of the accessories. And I think there are ways to do it. Like, as I say, the pink iMac is red. So if you just get red everything, wherever you can, maybe like red and silver, then you will have a happy life with your color options. But I think someone with a good eye for
I do not like the pastel fronts on the iMacs. I think it ruins everything.
I like
Really?
them. I really
like
like
it.
the dual tone of them.
I don't mind dual tone. I don't like some of the pastel versions of it.
But it makes sense because you don't want like an aggressive color looking at you. You want the aggressive color at the back. It would give you a headache if you had that bright red looking at you all the time.
Here's what I would have been fine with. All white front with a colorful Apple logo to match the back.
That's an interesting idea.
That would have been cool. I understand that the chin all white would have been weird, but we don't really need that chin. If they redesign this, right, and make make it look like a studio display, that's all you need to do is make it look exactly like a studio display. I'm guessing there's the chin. Okay, let me rephrase, because when I say we don't need the chin, there's someone out there like, it's manufacturing and there's something important in that chin.
The reason is because it gets hot, and so it's behind the display.
Right.
So,
but in my mind,
behind that bit of the display, it will kill that bit of the display more quickly.
In my mind, we don't need that chin. So Apple, in this world, you're going to have to deal with it. So, well, the studio display, it doesn't have a full computer, but it kind of has a chip behind it. Anyways, in my mind, I would love for them to figure out a way to make it work so that you don't need that chin, or at least not that big of one, so that the uniformed white bezel looks good. And then you maybe enough to just fit the Apple logo on there if you're going to make a chin, and just color match it. And the colors on the back look great. I think I don't know. People make big deals out of colors, meaning something or another. I know there are men out there who think it's lame to have a pink iMac. I just don't like the color pink. So when I like the color red,
really pink. It's red.
It is kind of the front is pink. The front is pink.
It's a little bit. It's a little pinkish.
It is definitely pink.
Red, basically.
The front is
the back
definitely
is very red. It's like deep
and
product red, like
and I
product
like
red,
that.
but not product red.
And I like that red, and I would buy that. But then I look at the front, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. And like and it has nothing to do with any of those superficial reasons. I just don't like that color. And that same goes for the green, is it? No, the blue. We have the blue. I don't like that pastel blue on the front. That is very reminiscent of kind of Sierra blue.
Sierra blue.
Yeah, Sierra blue.
High
Sierra. Let's not talk about High Sierra.
A while ago. That was a while ago.
Yeah. I'm not getting there, but I don't like that version of the blue, and it kind of kills it. So you know what is the best looking iMac? And this is so sad to say.
The silver one.
Silver. It's the silver one. It's the best looking one. Hands
It's because it's a
down.
classic look. It's a classic look.
It
But
just looks
answer
better.
me this, Stan. Answer me this. How do you feel about the AirPods Max colors? Because AirPods Max is also two-tone.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
I don't like those either, honestly.
Oh,
No?
I
Really?
they're good.
I bought a blue and I ended up trading it in for the space gray.
Talk some sense to this man, Frank.
Yeah.
I actually do have the silver AirPods Max just because I wanted
That
to
looks
match
good too.
the silver iPhone I had at the time. But like now I wouldn't really be as opposed to getting like any sort of like the other colors. I still love them. Like the green I think is a really good one. But I do think like having like I think to Hartley's point, the consistency would be something that, you know, it would be nice to have, just like having the similar name, like having like silver space gray, or, you know, just having the similar colors across the different products, I think is sort of would be nice to have, I guess.
And if they don't match, this is my thing, is if you're not going to have colors that are consistent, have colors that go well. So if I want to buy an iPad mini, but I don't want maybe the purple one, and what is my other choice with the iPad mini? If I've got everything in silver that is not going to sort of clash with the rest of what I have, I basically don't have a good choice. And I think that's what I don't like, is there's nothing wrong with having multiple colors. You could definitely have, you know, have green and blue maybe across your devices, green, blue, and silver. That might look good. But they need to be good colors that do work together. And I think they just look at a color palette for each product individually, which is a shame because this isn't how Apple's supposed to work. Apple's supposed to be on the detail. And I think this is a little bit of a weak point for them sometimes.
So to go back to the AirPods Max, I'm looking at them now. The pink, I really liked the band because it's very orange instead. But like the actual pink comes from the ear cups there, and I don't like that. You know what looks the best? The silver, the space gray. The green, I do kind of like that, and the blue.
Right? It's a really good green.
The green is nice. The green with the white is what I really enjoy. I think
Yeah,
that looks
right.
really good.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Sky blue, I didn't mind it. It did. I bought it because I liked it. It did match the best with the iMac blue. That definitely was like, good job, Apple. You got one that actually like matches and works. But like, what is this pink one? This pink one doesn't match the iMac. It doesn't match at all. What are you pairing the space gray with? If you're looking at iMacs, there is no space gray iMac. You're not pairing that with anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, the green, that kind of matches, I guess, but there's no darker green that kind of fits with that. It's just white on top, and it's almost like a minty white. It's not like, is it the same white? Maybe no, it's not the same white.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a hint of green in it. Yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
a very kind of light green.
Like a light tealy mint. I'm not very good at colors either.
So what about accessories? Frank, do you use a case? Do you have, I don't know, maybe a smart case for the iPad, a silicone case for your iPhone? What do you choose color-wise?
So yeah, I really do kind of love to show the color of the phone. So every year I get a clear case. This year I just like picked up the Apple clear case. As far as like the iPad, I'll pick up like I usually go with like the Magic Keyboard. That's my favorite accessory for the iPad Pro. I have the white one. Like I do kind of enjoy the Magic Keyboard a lot. Is one of my favorite Apple accessories just because of how easy it is to just kind of attach it with the smart connector. You can start typing right away and like everything just works. I love when those types of accessories, but yeah, I do tend to go for, especially with my iPhone, just to kind of go with more of the clear cases, just because I do like to show the color. Like I like to see my phone and see the color of it sometimes. So
Wait, I just had a quick question on the case. You get the
Go
clear
ahead.
case. Does that hold up well over time with like oxidation? Because
It
that's
does,
the reasons
yeah.
why I never get
So-
clear cases.
So yeah, I'll have to clean it every month or two, just because if you can see it right here, I have just kind of like there are a couple spots on it, but that I think that's kind of normal for any sort of clear case. But I'll clean it every couple of months. But for the most part, it it holds up pretty well. I've dropped it a couple of times and no real scuffs on the
Okay.
case either. So
See, I don't do cases because I just love the look of the thing, just like you said. But I'm just going more bold. Like I'm just, you know what? If I'm gonna go clear, we're just not putting one on at all. Although I do have the leather case. For some reason, when I travel, like on a plane, I like to put a case on it. Is that weird?
What are you doing with your phone on the plane, Dan?
I I I just I don't know. For some reason, I get this fear of like I don't put it in my pocket. I don't like things in my pocket. So I put it in the little like front pocket of the plane. And
oh, okay.
one that's probably pretty gross. Like there's probably a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that has been in there. And two, I get afraid that if I drop it, it just gets kicked
That's what I was gonna
across.
say. It's gonna slide. It would
Yeah.
slide to the back of the
Right.
plane.
So this
No,
won't
no, that makes
slide.
sense.
This
That
would
makes sense.
prevent it from sliding. And then when I get to my destination, I take the case off, which is so stupid. But that's I don't know. It's been ingrained in my brain to do that. Um, real quick, were you gonna touch more on these color cases before we move on?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, what do we think of the new colors? Because there is also a little bit of inconsistency there. There's slightly different colors offered across the watch bands, across the cases. You can't get a sport band in canary yellow. You can only get it with the
Right.
solo loop, and that's a really nice combination with the new yellow iPhone. You know, I'm not big on yellow, but whenever Apple gives you the full set of the watch band, the case, and the phone color, it's very tempting because they seem to coordinate so well. So, did you get a chance to look at the new cases, the new bands?
So yeah, when I was there, the only case I was able to check out was the canary yellow. That's the only one that was out. But I was able to kind of like try it on both they had one for the plus and one for the regular 14. And it did match, like it was spot on. Like the color, the case versus the phone, like complement each other very well. But to your point, like it would be nice to kind of like when they do have the watch band, the case, the phone, you do want to get all three together and you want to kind of like match it. So that is something that is really I really it's really something that I enjoy when we have those options, like the colors for phones, watches, everything. Everything's consistent.
Yeah, I agree. That's my whole rant in a much more succinct way.
Wait, what's the color for the Apple Watch Ultra? Is there a specific color tied to it, like naming? Is it just silver?
No, it's they call it natural titanium. So
Natural.
it's like a slightly warm titanium
I want a
because they used to do two
natural.
different colors of titanium with the
Okay.
old Apple Watch edition. So they think they used to do it. They call it it was space black titanium and natural titanium.
I want those two colors for the next silver and or whatever you're going to call those iPhone 15 Pros. And
Yeah, that's probably what it
I
would be.
want the natural to have the orange accent for the buttons. I think that would look so good.
Yeah, no, what?
But I also think it would look good on the black too. Like
Yeah, it could do. Yeah,
I wear this band, the what is this one? God, the
The
hiking one? The
trail loop?
trail loop. Yeah. I don't hike, but that's the band that I wear. And I like the little orange accent on that one. So I was thinking like that would look good. Um I
the
have
Apple Watch
nothing else
Ultra
to
got no love, did it? In this, there were what, over 20 new bands and AirTag accessories. Not one for the Apple Watch Ultra. Not a single new color. Nothing.
I mean, in theory, they all work, but
So I thought they work, but like there wasn't a dedicated new
sure.
a single new color. Even for something like the ocean, they could have done for the ocean band canary yellow, for example.
That's true.
That would have been really nice. I think so. Even Apple Watch MS got a bit of love with this refresh.
No,
I don't know how many people care about
I'm
Apple
not
Watch MS.
touching that one.
I do. They're really interesting,
High
really unique
class
bands. Considering
Hartley
these are
over
first
there.
party. They're first party bands, and they're inspired by. It's a new cassette collection, so they are inspired by horse jockeys. And so
Oh,
they've got
cool.
these patterns of these different that you get. They're basically multicolored bands, but unless you get the Pride bands or the
Yeah.
Unity bands, this is the only other place you're going to get that. And some of them are, well, one of them at least is leather. So if you want a leather band that's multiple colors, people say the Hermes bands are just the same as everything else. I don't think they are. Some of them are really unique.
Yeah, these are unique looking. I don't know.
Still not going to buy one though, are you, Dan?
No, because
they are really expensive.
I was gonna say they're super expensive. I'm not wasting my money on that. When it comes to bands, I just put on the same one all the time. I try to find one that could go with any single outfit I wear, and I just keep it on. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I work with an Apple Watch. Do you guys get a bunch of bands and change them out all the time? Match your outfits and stuff?
I used to do that a lot. I have like anytime I would dress up, I'd throw on the Milanese loop. I love that one.
Sure, that I can understand.
Right now, I have on like the Pride one from 2021. This
Cool.
one's like this is the braided solo loop is actually my favorite Apple Watch band that they've released just because of how comfortable it is. Like I can wear that in bed and I can sleep with that for 8-9 hours and not be uncomfortable when I wake up in the morning or not wake up in the middle of the night. Because sometimes I've noticed that like some of the bands, like the sport loops are great. Like I really like the braided solo loop just for comfort and, sleeping and stuff like that. Because I've been using my Apple Watch when I sleep just for the sleep tracking, and it's been great.
So most of the time I wear just a normal sport band. And then maybe in the hotter months, I switch to something like the Sport Loop. But most of the time, I rotate between 4 bands. I think if you try and keep more than that in the running order, it's too many. It's too much decision fatigue. So I like a metal band, a nylon band, a sport band, and a leather band. I think that covers all bases. That's all you need. And usually that means I've got something appropriate for all situations. That's the way I do it anyway. But I do get very tempted to constantly buy others. So I have to restrain myself.
I'll do it and then I don't wear it, and I just I've got a problem and I need help. Is what happens.
I have so many. It's crazy.
I can't believe it, but we almost did 40 minutes of colors. So I
told you we could do it, Dan.
No. Well, I think it is a good discussion to have, but I don't know. The yellow that I laughed this morning when I saw that the Apple Store went down because of the pre-orders. I'm like, that they have to know what they're doing with that. They just have to know that's a big troll.
They haven't taken it down for bigger things in the past, which is why it's a little weird.
It's so dumb. It's dumb. Let's just call it like it is.
But I think it's kind of fun. Like it's almost like memeing it at this point.
Like I'm not mad about it. I'm laughing more because I just think they're playing into the whole thing of like, this is ridiculous. Let's drum up as much hype as we can. But I did hear that they had, and maybe, I mean, you don't have to comment on this if you don't want to, Frank, but I did hear that the briefings were like as if the iPhone 14 never existed. Like they were just talking about the features of the iPhone, and like I guess it's a refresh. Maybe some people just never used one. Maybe they had different members of the media that got it this time. But I heard that it was kind of like, here's the brand new iPhone 14 in this beautiful yellow color. Let's talk about what you can do with the iPhone 14. And it's like, didn't we just go through this 6 months ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like, I don't know. I mean, I think the yellow iPhone 14 was, like, I think it's, like to get the iPhone in the news again, like we kind of, every year it's kind of like the same thing where when we have this mid-cycle refresh, it's getting the iPhone in the news again. Yeah. It's getting people talking about the iPhone 14 again. And I think like that's kind of the whole point of the, the hype and that they were building up and all of that. And,
sure.
The Apple Store going down this morning and all of that. But yeah, I mean, it is a good color all in all. And like, I would say that like, I don't know. I just kind of, I think it's a good kind of thing that we, I don't know, just the whole kind of way, like having the new color is, I think was a good move for Apple just because, we're like I said, getting the iPhone in the news again. We're talking about it. Overall, I think it was a good move. So.
Okay. Real quick. Last 8 minutes. How are we still feeling about the iPhone 14? And the 14 Pro? Do we still like it? I've seen so many people talk about how, it might be not as good as we originally thought. Some things are not working as well. I mean, I know a lot of that is probably software based, but there have been some camera bugs too. Are you guys happy, unhappy with it?
I I'm really happy with my iPhone 14
Okay.
Pro Max. I've had it since day one. No real issues. Like I know that there was that camera issue at the very beginning. That never happened to me. The battery life has been really good for me as well. Um, the one thing I will say, like I've had some issues come up. Like any of the issues that have come up have been all in iOS 16. It hasn't been like something I think that is hardware based. It's
Sure.
pure software. And I think that's kind of, I'm hoping with iOS 17, stability is kind of a main priority because, it is annoying. Like when you're doing stuff and then your phone will crash or it will just randomly restart. And like it's happened to me quite a few times, but all in all, I'm happy with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Like I said, I just wish the software come iOS 17 more so is, just getting that stability. So.
Hartley?
So for me, I did actually have that camera bug quite badly,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and I didn't know what was going on because I had it on launch day, and I had it here. I'm 5 hours ahead of the US at least, so I was getting everything set up. And with in particular, where I noticed it was when I tried to like add my bank cards. So I was scanning my bank cards with a camera because what you do when you get a new iPhone, you log back into stuff.
Right.
You do end up using the camera on day one, and it was going completely crazy. So the image stabilization
Wow.
was rattling around, and I genuinely thought there's something broken inside this. As how has that not damaged the lens? Because you could feel it. It was like the feeling of the Taptic engine, but in the top of the phone. Felt
Wow.
really wrong, and you could
That sounds
hear
good.
it like inside. It was very loud, and it just kept happening. So it was slightly terrifying, but I can't hold that against the phone because they fixed it.
Yeah.
A week later,
Right.
2 weeks later.
They fixed it.
But the one thing that I can complain about is battery life.
Yeah, mine's
I don't have the Pro
horrendous.
Max model, but just on the normal iPhone 14 Pro, it's probably the worst battery life I've had out of an iPhone for quite a long time. Before this, I had an iPhone 12 Pro. I skipped the iPhone 13, um, and that I feel like was a lot better. And the same goes for several devices before that. I don't know why it chews through the battery so much. I turn off always on display. I put low power mode on a bunch now, try and get through the day. It still really struggles. But in spite of that, I really do like the device, I have to say. I have no complaints. I really like the always on display. I really like the 48 megapixel camera. I like dynamic island. I
Mhm.
have no other issues. It's battery life. I work from home, so I can just leave my phone on a charger. It's not a serious issue for me,
Same.
but
Yeah.
maybe for other people it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any issues. I've noticed some weird things with the camera, and I feel like the images are kind of the processing issues that it's had. And like, I don't know, I've often seen like it's doing too much. We've talked about this when we had Tyler on. Like, it's doing too much, and I don't know when that started. Like, I've been able to like long press and see live photos, and the amount of difference that the photo between the video like looks is insane. And like the finished product, like when it like comes back to life and snaps back to the normal photo, like there's so much over processing going on. I'm like, oh wait, the live photo actually looks better than what you're giving me here. Stop doing that. Stop adding too much to it. You're over sharpening. That's really it. I mean, battery life has been bad, and I'm on the Pro Max. Like, I'm still making it through a
Oh, okay.
day, but I'm noticing like,
That's surprising.
yeah, I'm noticing over the last couple of months like a 20% dip, faster dip. Like usually I end the day not, I have low power mode set to come on automatically at like 30%. And normally I do not hit that. I get pretty close on heavy days. And lately I've been hitting it a lot more. I have to kind of look back and see if I'm doing something differently though. If I've gotten a new device that's attached to it or something that's constantly pinging its location in the background, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I've noticed it's been not as good lately. But overall, I am still happy with the device. I will say, Dynamic Island has become an afterthought for me. I barely use it. I don't know about you guys, but
I use it a lot for music. I think it's really helpful to be able to just change the song or even like see where you are in the song without having to like open the control center or open
Hmm.
that separate app, because you could be in Instagram and, go to the next song without having to even leave the app or open the control center, which is great. As far as like other use cases, I've also used it for like the timer. That was one other time I recalled like using it. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily use it like every single day, but I do definitely use it a lot with the music app.
Yeah, I would agree. Podcasts, music, and timers for me. But as we see more support, with even with apps like Uber, and good support for live activities,
Yeah.
that's when I think it will become a little bit more useful.
Yes, but I don't travel like I'm not doing it every on a daily basis, but that is very
Right.
helpful. Um,
It's a few times a week feature. It's not an everyday feature.
right.
Right.
But even for me with music and podcasts, like I only listen to those in the car or on a home pod. So like I'm not looking at my phone. So it's
I
kind
think
of useless.
that's like for most people, I still think like
I think
it is something you end up interacting with quite a
yeah,
bit.
I think I'm kind of in the minority there.
I will say the live activities are fantastic, especially with Uber. I was in Vegas for CES at the beginning of January, and that was like the first. I didn't even know live activities were working for Uber, so I just kind of started an Uber, and my phone was locked, and I glanced at it, and it said my Uber was arriving in 4 minutes, and I was like, "Wow, this is live activities," and it was fantastic. Just kind of the implementation, and while I was in the Uber, just seeing how much longer I have until I get there, it was great.
Awesome. Well, we did it. We did a whole hour almost entirely on
We did
color
it.
options. So you're welcome, Hartley. Frank, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, truly
Of
appreciate it.
course, it was a pleasure.
Congratulations on all your TikTok success. Would you like to plug your TikTok?
Sure. It is at Frank McShan, Frank McShan.
Awesome. I'm sure most of everyone listening already follows you there. And hopefully by the end of this podcast, you'll have 3 million followers now. We'll just give you a nice million there because that's clearly how many people listen to this show. But yeah, honestly, dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll,
Of course, of course. I'm so happy to be back on MacRumors.
thank you, man. We'll catch everyone in the next episode.